Most of you know how far Scientology will go to track down, identify, and harass people who criticize them online. One of the main ways they do this is by tracking IP addresses. This is exactly what they did to me back in 2010. Protect yourself from David Miscavige and his goons with the sponsor of today's video, Atlas VPN. Atlas VPN is a virtual private network that sends all of your internet traffic through a protected, encrypted tunnel. It protects you from spying, Wi-Fi intrusions, and most importantly, David Miscavige's goons. With a single Atlas VPN subscription, you can protect unlimited devices. Starting today with Atlas's Steel Black Friday deal, you can get Atlas VPN Premium for just $1.70 a month, plus 6 months extra, with a 30-day money-back guarantee. This is the best Atlas VPN offer of the year, and it is a limited time offer, so be quick and get your deal by clicking on the link in the description down below. People ask how they can support the channel. One of the ways you can do that is by supporting our sponsors. So thank you to all of you, and thank you again to Atlas VPN. And again, check out the link in the description down below. Now let's talk about Danny Masterson's trial. In my personal humble opinion, this trial just keeps getting worse and worse for Danny and the defense. And yesterday, what transpired in court was borderline satire. For the first time, an actual current active Scientologist in good standing was called to testify. And this guy, the guy's name was Shaun Fabos, and he was so disagreeable and so argumentative and so difficult that the judge allowed the prosecution to treat him as a hostile witness, which means the prosecutor was allowed to ask leading questions instead of open-ended questions, because the guy was being just so difficult and argumentative and refusing to give like the most obvious answers to the questions. And not only that, this guy Shaun Fabos was caught blatantly and obviously falsifying his testimony to a degree that even the defense seemed a little embarrassed about it. And Shaun wasn't even the defense's witness. He was the prosecution's witness. Plus, it came to light that it looks like a private investigator working for the defense, although some might wonder whether this private investigator was also working for Scientology, appears to have caused this witness to alter his testimony just within the last couple days to diverge from everything this witness has been saying or has previously said over the past 18 to 20 years. So to catch everyone up real quick on where we are and how we got here. This isn't a criminal trial for Scientologist and actor Danny Masterson from that 70s show. He is facing charges relating to violent attacks upon 3 women who these 3 women were all Scientologists at the time that Danny attacked them. There are many other victims who have come forward, but he's only facing charges relating to these 3 women. The first victim to testify in this case is being referred to as Jane Doe 1. Shaun Fabos, who testified yesterday, was one of Jane Doe 1's best friends at the time of the attack. Shaun Fabos also worked for Jane Doe 1's parents as some kind of an assistant. Now, the night of the attack back in 2003, the morning after that attack, Jane Doe 1 was scheduled to go on a large family vacation to Clearwater, Florida, from Los Angeles. That vacation lasted about a week. As soon as Jane Doe 1 returned to Los Angeles from this vacation, she met with Shaun Fabos at a coffee shop and told him everything that happened. Shaun believed her, he was outraged, and he said he was going to beat the S out of Danny Masterson. Fast forward to 2017 when the LAPD is finally doing a thorough investigation into all of these claims against Danny. They set up special phone lines that automatically record, and they asked the victims to call certain people who the victims had identified, knew about what happened, and get them to talk about what happened from their recollection. Shaun Fabos was one of these people who Jane Doe 1 called, spoke with, and was recorded by the LAPD giving his whole version of events of what he recalled. He did not know he was being recorded. Now, since 2017, Shaun Fabos has become a very dedicated Scientologist. He was born and raised in it, but it sounds like it turns out he was never really particularly that involved or dedicated, except In the last 3 years, and this was incredible. For some reason, Shaun Fabos testified to this on the stand yesterday. He said, I've only really become a dedicated Scientologist in the last 3 years. Well, now Shaun Fabos is in a very awkward situation. It is considered a high crime, a suppressive act for a Scientologist to contribute or help in any way in some legal action or prosecution against any other Scientologist, and to involve themselves in anything that brings bad repute or bad press onto Scientology. But yet here he is on an audio recorded phone call. So Shaun Fabos did what any good Scientologist would do when caught between a rock and a hard place like this. He obfuscated, was difficult as hell, and lied his ass off. So I am going to reenact this testimony for you through interpretive dance. Actually, I have just been informed we will not be doing interpretive dance. I'm just going to read this for you, but it's not verbatim. This is from notes that was taken during the testimony. Mr. Fabos, did Jane Doe 1 tell you anything about having been thrown into a jacuzzi that night? No. Mr. Fabos, you are aware that there was a conversation between you and Jane Doe 1 where you discussed your recollections of what Jane Doe 1 told you, and that this conversation was recorded? Yes. And Mr. Fabos, you were just recently at our office to review that recording as well as your recollection of it. Yes. So if I show you a transcript of the conversation specifically about the jacuzzi, would it refresh your memory, Mr. Fabos? Yes, it would. Okay, good. Mr. Fabos, now that you have reviewed the transcript, does that refresh your memory? Yes, it does. So Mr. Fabos, I will ask you once again, did Jane Doe 1 tell you when the two of you were having coffee that she was thrown into the jacuzzi? No, she did not. Mr. Fabos, would you please once again read this transcript of your conversation? Yes. Okay, Mr. Fabos, has that refreshed your recollection about what Jane Doe 1 told you? Yes, it has. All right, Mr. Fabos, I'm going to ask you one more time. Did Jane Doe 1 tell you anything about being thrown into a jacuzzi? Yes, she did in fact tell me that. This is how the testimony went. It was horribly awkward. It was so obvious he was being deceitful and lying. And it was after this that the judge declared him to be a hostile witness, and the prosecutor was able to be much more direct with him. But that wasn't even the craziest thing that happened, because for the last, since 2003, so however many years that's been, that's 19 years. For the last 19 years, everyone's version of events here has been the attack occurred, Jane Doe 1 went on a family vacation for a week, came back, and then told Shaun Fabos everything that happened. That's what Jane Doe 1 has said. That's what Shaun Fabos has said. That's what the LAPD have been, that has been their understanding. Magically, 2 or 3 days ago, while Shaun Fabos was sitting in the hallway of the courtroom, a private investigator working for the defense came up to him and allegedly simply asked him, hey, weren't you on that family vacation that Jane Doe 1 took immediately after the attack? And didn't you see her in a bathing suit? And didn't you observe that she had no bruises on her? And Shaun Fabos has told the court that merely being asked this question caused him to remember for the first time in 19 years that yes, in fact, he was on that family vacation. And yes, in fact, he did see Jane Doe 1 in a bathing suit and saw that she had no bruises on her. Never come up before. And then on top of that, Shaun Fabos testifies that he spent a majority of his time in Clearwater on that vacation, not with Jane Doe 1, but with her cousin Rachel, who was also on the family vacation. So the prosecution calls cousin Rachel to the stand and says, Cousin Rachel, were you on this family vacation? Yes, I was. And was Mr. Fabos on this vacation with you and the family? No, he was not. And the prosecution's like, Mr. Fabos testifies that he spent most of the vacation with you, that you hung out on the beach, you hung out in the pool, you guys were drinking together. Do you have any recollections of Mr. Fabos being on that family vacation with you at all? No, Mr. Fabos was not with us on the family vacation. I mean, here's the thing. The defense team wants to keep Scientology out of this trial to the degree that they can. And yet anytime Scientology or Scientologists come into the case in any way, shape, or form, it makes Danny and the defense look horrible. The jury had to walk away from yesterday's testimony with the impression that Scientologists will lie, do, and say anything to protect Scientology and Scientologists. And they would be right on the money about that. And when the prosecution, through the questions that they were asking to Shaun Fabos and whatnot, there was definitely an implication that there was something oddly improper or suspicious about this witness having been approached by a private investigator in the courthouse and then spontaneously changing their testimony after 18 or 19 years. And then Philip Cohen, Masterson's defense attorney, basically his response to all this was, "Your Honor, I do declare the prosecution has implied something untoward has happened here. This is an offense. We must have a mistrial." Oh, Philip Cohen will ask for a mistrial over absolutely anything and everything. And look, perhaps that is just your standard operating basis for a criminal defense attorney. I don't really claim to know. But it sure gives the impression that you have no real strategy to fall back on. You have no real defense. You're scraping the bottom of the barrel. You're grasping at straws. When you're asking for the case to be thrown out for every little minor, it's like the third time that the defense team has asked for a mistrial. Of course, it was instantly denied. So this isn't everything that happened today. They did actually finish with the direct and the cross and the redirect and the recross of Shaun Fabos, and they moved on to Jane Doe 3, beginning her testimony under direct examination. And by the end of the day yesterday, I believe she was still under direct examination. So we will have more on that by the end of today. I know that yesterday we expected Marty Singer, legendary Hollywood attorney Marty Singer, to testify. Something went wrong with that, and he is being rescheduled, and that is why we have Jane Doe 3 on the stand right now. So more to come on this. Stay tuned for updates. That's all for now. Thank you everyone for watching and listening, and I will talk to you soon.
Okay, if you want to see my rock and roll songs, click right on this guitar. And if you want to see a different one of my videos, then you could click right inside here. If you have subscribed or not, subscribe right